Good morning. It's day 2 in our morning meditations, and I hope that yesterday was a refreshing experience for you. And I hope that as we continue doing this day by day, that you find that something is slightly, if not profoundly, changing and shifting inside of your mind. Today we're going to be reading Psalm 139 verse 2. So let's get started. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from afar. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from afar. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from afar. This entire psalm highlights the omniscience and the omnipresence of God. He sees us and everything we are doing all of the time. Our very movements are known by Him. This is kind of a crazy thought when you think about it. He knows exactly the way that you're going to wake up in the morning. He knows what your first steps will be and where you'll go, what you'll do. And He knows what the last thoughts on your mind will be when you go to bed and everything that lies in between. The word discern in this passage is the Hebrew word banta, which means to separate mentally and understand. It involves a mental process of distinguishing between different elements, grasping their significance, and making informed decisions. It's very high level analysis. So when he says you discern, and you is God, you discern my thoughts from afar, he is saying that God has the power to literally analyze your thoughts the way maybe a therapist would, or maybe how we try to, even just in the midst of our days or when we journal. That God does it with perfection. He is able to dissect and understand how our thoughts connect to all the other thoughts that are going on in our minds. Culturally speaking, the Hebrew concept of understanding goes beyond mere intellectual knowledge. It encompasses a deep, intuitive grasp of God's will and the ability to apply it in everyday life. So when David is talking about God's understanding of us, this is already an elevated sense of understanding. His own understanding of understanding was one that was very rich, and where this ideal, this principle of understanding what is going on, whether it's inside of us or whether it's what God is saying, is highly valued. Okay, but above and beyond all that, he's saying that God does this in a way that is even more supreme than we could ever do it. I don't know about you, but there are times when I feel like I don't even understand my own thoughts, where I think things and I'm like, why am I thinking that way? Or how did that thought get in there? So I wondered, as I was reading these lines, how does it make you feel to know that He understands all of your thoughts and perceives all of your cares? How does that make you feel? Like, what comes up when you think about that, when you meditate on that question? I wanted to challenge you to try asking Him today, what is one thought that I'm having that you don't want me to have? And then also, what is one thought that you want me to spend more time thinking about? This could become a daily exercise, really, because we have so many thoughts going on in our minds that are probably not really worth the time and the energy that it takes. In fact, a lot of times they're probably working against us. We live in a social media soaked world where our eyes are taking things in and our ears are hearing all these things, and so often those things get into our minds and we find ourselves thinking about things that are really not worth the time. And so it's very much worth asking him, what is that one thing today that you don't want me to be thinking about so much? And then what is something that maybe I should be thinking about a lot more? And they might correspond. Like, it might be a lie that you have been dwelling on or thinking about, and maybe the thought that he wants you to have is the truth, the corresponding truth, or the replacing truth of that lie. Whatever comes to your mind when you ask him, go with it. Don't overanalyze yourself. Don't try to pick it apart. Is this you, God? This is just a learning experience all around. So when we ask him by faith, we can just take it that what rises up in us is him, and then go with it. Take note of what you hear him saying and engage him in an ongoing conversation throughout the day. Maybe you'll return to it once or twice. Maybe it'll be something that just kind of tracks with you all day. Bottom line is, you are engaging with the God of the universe, the God who discerns your very thoughts from afar. Okay? This is the God that knows that I might stand up in a minute, or I might stand up in 10 minutes, or I might go to bed at 10:30 tonight, or I might go to bed at midnight. He knows the very moments. He is the God of all of our days, all of our time. So enjoy this. Allow him to show you what he sees in your thought life. So here we go. I'll say it one more time. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from afar. Think long and hard about that, and have a beautiful day.